WebAssembly, really huge space. I'll probably pause there and just say, kind of, give us a 30-second definition of WebAssembly, Bill, and then we could kind of, carry on. Hello and welcome to the Cloud Therapist channel. I'm Richard Simon. This is going to be a roundup talk of the recent KubeCon and CloudNativeCon Europe 2021 conference. And I have the pleasure to welcome back Bill Mulligan from the Cloud Native Computing Foundation, the CNCF. As has always been traditional in my talks with Bill, I'm going to refer to it as the CNCF and not the full name. So let's just say quickly hello to Bill. Bill, how are you doing? And what have you been up to and how's things going for you?
Really good. Thanks for asking. Yeah. What I've been up to, I have gone back to see my family for the first time in almost 2 years. So I'm back in the US, so different time zone the last time we talked, but still alive and healthy, and it's about all you can ask for these days.
Fantastic. So how was sort of KubeCon Europe for you? What were you up to and what happened?
Oh yeah, that was a crazy experience, our largest ever conference. And once again, it seems like a tradition now. I took the conference in the wrong time zone. So rather than staying up really late, I got to get up really early this time.
Oh, no. You're always in the wrong time zone or something. What's happening?
Yeah, wrong continent.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah. I don't want to be where the conference is, have the true virtual experience.
Sure. But was it enjoyable? Did you kind of, get around and talk to people in the lounge, and the virtual lounges and so on?
Yeah, it was awesome. Like the amount of energy, like excitement that people brought to it just really made it. And it made it easy. Every morning getting up at 3 a.m., I was still like, all right, let's go. This is going to be a great day.
Coffee in hand, ready to go.
Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant. Well, I mean, it's definitely the last 18 months, sort of from 2020 to kind of now, it's definitely been sort of the year for cloud natives, considering sort of the growth and the demand for, things like mobile, remote working, scalable and performant, platforms. So definitely. So just kind of looking at some of the highlights, I thought, I'll run through some of Priyanka's keynote numbers. I thought those were quite interesting and maybe even extremely surprising in certain cases. So in terms of members, I think she listed out in 2019 the CNCF had around 518. In 2021 it was 612 plus, so that's a 18% growth, which is fantastic. In terms of projects, 2019 you guys had, I think, around 44 projects. In 2021, it's 91 plus, and there's obviously more coming in. So that's a 95% growth, and I think that's really phenomenal. And in terms of contribution, 2019, you saw over 81,000 contributions in terms of contributors from various organizations and vendors and so on. And in 2021, that's risen to 118,000. And that's around 46% growth. So that's absolutely fantastic. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it really speaks volumes to the community that even though people have kind of gone through so much this year, people are really finding value in what we're doing. More people are showing up, and we continue to see growth. I guess one thing that I forgot to mention that I'm actually super excited about that isn't in these numbers is really the growth of the student community. We really kicked it off at this last KubeCon. We had over 1,000 students attend, and I'm really excited to kind of see that momentum continue. And there's a lot of excitement around it right now.
Fantastic. Okay, yeah, that's cool. I know that you guys have kind of done a lot of sponsorship for for the passes and things like that, and that's been all going to students. I think I even spoke to Cheryl in regards to that. Cheryl Hung as well as your VP of ecosystem, and I think that was I think that's absolutely brilliant. So in terms of kind of the main topics, we, probably people can, viewers can actually go and have a look at the massive videos, and it's standing at 200 plus videos for people to watch. So that's a lot of bedtime watching for people. Lots of stop being binging on Netflix and let's binge on KubeCon for a change. So yeah, I mean, obviously cloud native technologies, of course, that goes without saying. That's kind of been the highlight. But also saw lots of stuff around IoT and edge, telco, obviously Kubernetes, and sort of lots of things on around diversity as well. What was kind of the main topics for you that you kind of noticed?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit kind of like quite a few of them like right on the head. I would also probably throw in there a lot of topics around security. Also, two of my favorite technologies coming out, or three of them, is eBPF, WASM, and also RISC-V are the exciting ones for me.
Right, interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure I got the RISC-V one. I think I'll have a look at that. I mean, the one I picked up on was the Open Policy Agent, the OPA kind of stuff as well. I thought that was really lots of support for that, and lots of people actually working with that, which I thought was is fantastic. Because I think that's a really great technology as well. Okay, so in terms of let's kind of move on to the presentations that kind of caught our eyes. So I'll let you lead and kind of just give me what was sort of the main presentations, even maybe just kind of technology topics and stuff that you found most interesting.
Yeah, definitely. So kind of like the ones that I was talking about before, the RISC-V was one of the keynotes. That's a really interesting, cool technology because it's open hardware, and looking at how we can have an open CPU architecture and seeing how that integrates into it and designing your own circuit boards. I think that was pretty interesting. There's also a keynote from the WASM community too about the exciting stuff and how it's integrating into the cloud native ecosystem. I'm really biased because I'm working a lot with Vuk from Deutsche Telekom, and he also had a keynote talking about the exciting work they're doing there about running bare metal Kubernetes with GitOps at thousands of locations all around Germany to do like distributed edge computing. It's like all the buzzwords all in one keynote. I thought that was really cool. And then probably like one of the fan favorite talks was Hacking Kubernetes by Ellen and Tabitha. I don't know, did you see that talk?
I haven't had a chance to look at that one particularly. I've been
you have to see that one. It was like 4 in the morning, and I was like laughing, crying. It was that good. So that was
fantastic.
Definitely my favorite talk, just because it was like a fully produced movie and it was spectacular.
Yeah, who was it last? The last one, was it Justin?
Yeah, Justin Garrison.
Yeah, Justin Garrison did I think he did one as well. I think that was quite cool. Excellent. What else kind of caught your eye then?
Those were
lots to mention. So many.
Yeah, how many more do you want? I'd say the other one was from Ian and Kat talking about their experience dealing with the Docker shim deprecation in Kubernetes and how we need to communicate in the community and make sure we're clear about what we're talking about, because I think communication is the hardest thing we do as humans. So
yeah, I think you and I kind of mentioned it in one of our previous talks, and also I think I spoke to another guest that came on, and I mean, it wasn't it's not a huge deal, but it just, as you're right, in terms of the communication, I think that was kind of the lesson learned there probably around that. Okay, excellent. Yeah, I mean, I picked up on quite a few. I'd kind of, like I said, there's 200 plus to watch, so lots of binging to be done. But I picked up on Red Hat's presentation that was around using Kubernetes as a control plane for hybrid clouds. Now, I thought this is not necessarily a huge thing, but I just kind of in terms of enterprises and what they do and what they need to deal with and how they can kind of get this bit working. I thought that was kind of very simple and effective. It kind of helps to solve some of those very sort of practical problems that people have, and kind of having that aspect of it, I think, sort of was quite good. The sandbox project, somebody I think presented from the oversight committee, I believe, on
Justin
McCormick.
McCormick.
That's the one, Justin. Yes, and he presented on the sandbox projects, kind of what's the status of those and all that, and that looked really good. I thought that was very positive. The pipeline for those looked extremely good. Now, I kind of detected that sort of storage and data is kind of making a comeback. Was that your sort of impression as well?
I wouldn't even say comeback. It's just having like its moment. Yeah, it's. I mean, I don't think it ever went away.
Went away. Yeah.
It was maybe not there in the beginning and started to grow, but yeah, I would definitely agree. It's growing a lot. So I don't know about a comeback, but it's happening.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly saw more. Let's say, kind of, we saw more of it, more emphasis on it, and I think the presentation by the presentation by Kasten, by Veeam, was good. I think we're generally seeing it's not necessarily connected with the conference, but organizations like Rubrik, sort of in the cloud, doing cloud backup and recovery in that sort of space. Snowflake sort of around data warehousing, data lakes recovery, and things like that. But yeah, I agree. There was a lot around. Again, in the sandbox, I think section there was some projects there in terms of storage and so on, and persistent storage and that kind of stuff is all seems to be coming back and sort of, shouldn't say coming back, and sort of highlighted even more these days. And I think that's actually quite good, because it was kind of maybe not something that was in the foreground, and now seems to be much more sort of highlighted in the foreground, which I think is good. Also, I wasn't aware that Linkerd was actually, or has been in production for over 5 years, and it's it's something that's actually nearing graduation from the CNCF, apparently.
Yeah, the proposal has been submitted, and now it's kind of going through the due diligence process at the TOC. So
cool. So that was the I think the talk by William Morgan, I believe, on that. Now the next one you sort of briefly mentioned, WASM, or WebAssembly. So I thought that we joked about this before the recording, and I thought you might be able to give us like a 30-second definition of what is WebAssembly.
Yeah, so WebAssembly is finally delivering on the promise of write once, run anywhere. So it's kind of a sandbox environment originally built for the browser, but that's why it's called WebAssembly, but now being built into so many different systems as a way to extend them. Like, I know Envoy is actually integrating WASM in right now so that they can extend the modularly extend the function of Envoy proxy. So I think it has a lot of interesting use cases for when you want to add functionality onto something or an existing thing without kind of building it directly into the source.
Okay, and that's something that's sort of being picked up by sort of the various cloud native projects. Is that kind of something that they're all sort of looking at?
Yeah, I think a whole bunch of them are. And I know actually some companies already have like WebAssembly stuff into production, like Fastly, I think, is using it as part of their edge caching or edge compute platform to help run code in distributed environments too.
Okay, excellent. So that's obviously, again, lots of coverage in the conference around that. So yeah, I'd certainly advise the viewers to go and have a look at that, because there's lots of interesting stuff on that. The other one I picked up on, which was, I think, really good, I really enjoyed watching, was the one by Vijay Pandey from Cisco around service mesh. I thought that was really great. I really enjoyed kind of the definition of that, and the kind of the explanation was very, sort of simple. And I thought that was a good way to kind of people understand what service mesh is and what it can do, and some of the other sort of features of that, and why you'd want to have that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Any other ones that kind of, again, sort of sprung up for you? What was something new that you learned in this conference?
The new thing that I learned, like how, I mean, I learned this every single conference, like how great our community is, like going in and out of the hallway track, seeing people interacting, engaging, like helping people out as the new students are coming in, like helping them find their footing. I think that's super cool. Yeah, and I guess interacting so much with the student community, I also learned that there's always new people. There's always people who are just beginning, and being able to like provide resources and provide them help is something that is always going to be important to the community too.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree with that. And I mean, I used to do a lot of STEM stuff, obviously before the pandemic, and kind of going into schools and universities and talking about IT careers and things like that. So it's always encouraging to see people, of that age, tinkering with Raspberry Pis and Linux and things like that. I think that's a great thing to see. It's very rewarding to see that. Okay, and what was kind of the what was the sort of takeaways for you from from the conference? You kind of mentioned a few maybe along the way on the talk. What was kind of some of the takeaways for you?
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaways for me is that the cloud native ecosystem is expanding. You kind of see it going like down the stack and up the stack with RISC-V into the hardware, like up the stack. I thought Liz Rice's keynote about the TOC kind of like updates on their predictions was really interesting, because they saw that a lot of the sandbox projects are now on the app delivery, app runtime side. So moving the value up the stack, because we've kind of consolidated a little bit more on the middle of the stack. So cloud native really is, it's not just this middleware part, but it's really kind of going to be a complete stack. I think is going to be a really interesting story to watch how it develops. Like obviously all of this is still kind of in the sandbox, and it'll go through like the same growth and maturity phases as like the other projects. So I think that'll be a really interesting story to continue to watch. Cloud native TV is also going to be an interesting story to watch. It's going to be launching on June 7th. We have some cool stuff coming up around that. And then also the student community. I think that's going to be the like tiger in the room for the next couple of conferences. You're going to go there and really feel the full force of the students. So I'm excited for that too.
Cool, excellent. Yeah, I think there's lots more obviously to get out of the conference and all the videos and so on. Obviously, we can't. This is a quick roundup, so we can't really sort of do justice to all of the content. But yeah, some really fantastic stuff, and I'm still almost a month later, is it now? I'm still I'm still going through it at the moment and still watching lots of the great stuff on there. Well, Bill, I just kind of wanted to really say thank you again for coming on and giving us this great roundup and summary. All the kind of usual websites are there. So cncf.io. People want to kind of look at the ecosystem and all the other stuff that the CNCF does. And all the videos for the conference are now on YouTube in a playlist. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct, on the CNCF YouTube channel.
Okay, cool. And they can, and people can just kind of, search on KubeCon Europe 2021, and it should pop up.
Yep.
Okay, excellent. Yeah. Great. Wonderful. Well, I really appreciate your time again. Thank you for coming on, and hopefully I will see you again soon. We'll do something yet again together, as we always do. It'll be a pleasure to welcome you back again. Thanks a lot, Bill.
Yeah, definitely. Excited for it. Thanks.
Thank you for watching this talk. If you enjoyed the content, please comment, share, like, and subscribe. See you next time.